What is an annotated bibliography? Annotated bibliography. Honestly, that is a lot of syllables. I can understand if you are feeling a little confused if you just received an annotated bibliography assignment, because based on the title alone, it seems like a really complicated thing, but it's not, I promise. Let's break down the title and then we'll chat about how to actually write one. So a bibliography, what's that? It's basically just a list of all the sources you've read about a specific topic. Annotation, what's that? Well, to annotate basically means to take notes. So an annotated bibliography is a list of sources about a specific topic with your notes about them. That's it. Most professors assign annotated bibliographies so that you can demonstrate that you chose a topic and read and thought carefully about sources relevant to that topic before you actually started writing. Reading what's already been written about a topic is an essential part of the research process. You'll probably learn a bunch of interesting things you hadn't considered, and you may even change your ideas or your topic in the process. That's great, and it's actually expected. So let's say you've started finding some good sources relevant to your topic. That's when you want to start building your annotated bibliography. Let's talk about what it will actually look like. Don't worry about reading much of the text of this image, though I'll give you just a second to look at it. Now let's just look at how it's organized. First of all, you typically have your topic as the title. Again, this topic might change as you do more research, but don't be scared of that. If your professor says you need, say, 10 sources, then each source will have two things. First, the citation, and second, the annotation. Here you can see that there are two citations, each one followed by an annotation. The citation explains the source you read and where it came from. This is the bibliography part of the annotated bibliography. You must include this information in the citation format that your professor asked you to. In this case, it's an MLA format, starting with the author's last name. If you aren't sure what MLA format looks like for your source, watch a video on MLA formatting or ask your professor. After the citation comes the annotation, which includes your notes and comments on that source. Annotations can look very different, but they are generally a paragraph or so. You want to follow the instructions that your professor gave you about what to include in an annotation. In almost all annotations, however, you will begin with a brief summary of what the article, book, video, painting, tweet, etc. was about. Then you might go on to explain how the source you found will help you in your research, how it connects to other sources you've found, or you might include some interesting quotes from the source. Again, follow your professor's instructions here. And keep in mind, every word of the source doesn't have to be relevant to the topic you're researching for you to include it in your annotated bibliography. Maybe only a few paragraphs in a 5-page source are relevant to your specific topic. That's very common. Take what's relevant and talk about it in your annotation. However, don't just include the first 10 sources you stumble upon in your annotated bibliography. Be willing to read the titles and abstracts or short summaries of a lot of sources before you select the ones you'll include in your bibliography. Once you have completed the bibliographic citation and the annotation for a source, you have one source. Again, if your professor asked you to have 10 sources, then that means you need to find 9 more sources and do the same thing again with them. And make sure you give yourself plenty of time to complete this annotated bibliography. You're expected to read through and then report on several sources. It's going to take a fair amount of time to do it well. But once you do, you will have learned so much about your topic and you'll feel much more comfortable writing about it in the future.